Jimmy Johnson leading race number 6 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup at the Kansas Speedway, presented by Ram today. Eric Almirola right with him. Almirola dominated the first 100 miles of this race, led 66 of the 98 laps that have been run so far today. But Johnson getting a lead on an exchange of pit stops a little while ago and has managed to outpace Almirola through 2 subsequent restarts. Coverage of Monday Night Football continues tomorrow on ESPN. First at 6:30, it's Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's. Then at 8:30, an NFC North rivalry renewed when Calvin Johnson and the Lions make their way to Soldier Field to take on Brandon Marshall and the Bears. Monday Night Football, Lions and Bears, tomorrow at 8:30 on ESPN. So the 5-time champ, Jimmy Johnson, out in front of this race on the newly resurfaced, slightly reconfigured Kansas Speedway. Johnson coming into the race 7 points behind Brad Keselowski in the championship, 7 positions on the racetrack. But right now Johnson is running first. Keselowski is running 24th.
Yeah, it looks like he's just riding a little bit. He made that pit stop to get 4 tires. I don't know if they're just trying to be in defensive mode here when they saw a couple of those tire failures. Thought maybe they'll just ride a little while. We'll keep an eye on him here and see if he picks it up if he gets close to being a lap down, but he's not nearly up to pace right at this point.
Denny Hamlin running in 11th position. The old as they run.
Coming. So I'll be cool here. Feel like an Eskimo. I'm so cold. You're doing fine, man.
That was Joey Meyer, the spotter up there, saying he's plenty cool.
And the driver telling him, be cool. We're okay. And really, for a group that's not been in the pressure of this championship before, you just wonder, or at least I do, when the pressure really is going to begin to build, when they're going to start to feel it. And walking around the garage area, we all kind of collectively thought today they might be beginning to start to feel it, that we're in the second half of this chase.
It's going to be unnatural not to feel some pressure, especially at this point. Never won a championship, and this team trying to get that first one. 5 to go, and they're leading the points. But it's how they handle the pressure. How are they going to handle it from here? This is going to be a tough race to get through, and we'll see how they handle it from here.
Yeah, well, it's no different than Jimmy Johnson and Chad Canals. There's pressure on them, and they've won 5 championships. But it's about this year. It doesn't make any difference what you did in the past. Here's an opportunity right in front of you. You have 5 races to get it done, and you're going to feel that pressure until that last lap at Homestead and whoever's the champion.
And the been there, done that group leading this race with Jimmy Johnson and Chad Canals having that experience behind them to know what to expect over these final 5 weeks.
So you think you want us to free up a little bit, huh? Still want to get sucked into thinking we're better than we are for the end, you know? The entry to freeze still could be a little sketchy from time to time, but as soon as I land and load up the car, get a little bit of a heavy front end.
Chad and Jimmy talking about where they're at this point, 150 miles into this race. Noteworthy performance so far in the race, besides Almirola, who's led the most laps, would be Regan Smith in this 88 car, who started back in 39th position, subbing for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Had a real scare in qualifying the other day when this car bobbled terribly on him at 200 miles an hour. Saved it, started in the back, and he is all the way up inside the top 10 as we take an inside look and get unlimited access to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Brought to you by the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile app and truly unlimited data on the Sprint Network. Regan Smith, biggest mover in the race so far. There it is. Get unlimited access to NASCAR with live in-car audio and real-time stats on the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile app. Only from Sprint. Get the app and Sprint's truly unlimited data plan at sprint.com/speed. Dave, they have to be pretty pleased so far.
AB, I've got a theory. Quick review. Who's leading the race?
Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson. Okay, the seat in Regan Smith's car is an exact copy of Jimmy Johnson's. The shell, the insert, everything except a little lowering of the headrest is exactly the same. So that may be why Regan's running so well. His car wouldn't turn before the last stop on lap 73. They put on 4 tires, adjusted a little. At this point, he's reporting he needs a little rear grip, but you could say he's driving like a champ right now for a good reason.
Very nice.
So if he gets off a little bit, Dave, they need to put some more padding in the seat instead of a little wedge.
And he's got a 4-time champ right behind him, Jeff Gordon. They talk about Regan Smith, confirmed before the start of the race today by Rick Hendrick that Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been cleared by NASCAR to return to competition next week in Martinsville. So now Regan is of an uncertain future in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, although the rumors continue to persist that we will see him in the NASCAR Nationwide Series next year, perhaps competing for the championship there.
I know there's only so many really good rides out there, but this is a driver that has a lot of talent and deserves a first-class ride just like this is. He's proven he drove into the top 10 last week at Charlotte before the engine expired. He's done a nice job here today. He has a lot of talent, and with the right race team, he could challenge and win races like we saw him win the race at Darlington back a couple of years ago.
Jeff Gordon going to try and pick up a spot on Regan Smith here. That'll be 8th position.
Jeff Gordon is a car that certainly is showing more today than he did in any practice yesterday. They worked a lot on the car, made a lot of changes. We're not very happy with what they had, but that's a good showing going so far.
There's your leader, Jimmy Johnson. Eric Almirola right with him. Under the green here in Kansas. A little bit of a long green flag run here at Kansas, and so it's about time for the pit crews to go to work again. Some have had more work to do than others during the course of the day. Kyle Busch's team, after that spin through the grass, having to tune him up, and Brad Keselowski's team with the 4-tire change, an extra stop, if you will, a little while ago that put him back in the pack and gives him a little further to run on this green flag than some of the front runners like Jimmy Johnson. There's the race for the lead, 48-43. Johnson and Eric Almirola. Impressive drive for this 43 team today. Richard Petty Motorsports announcing here this weekend they'd re-signed with Ford for next week, for next season rather. And race leader going to hit the pit lane. That transition Rusty was talking about on NASCAR Countdown that's a little abrupt on a green flag stop. And Jimmy Johnson just made the turn, Dave.
Remember earlier he was talking about his car being good on landing and then off the corner, so a little edgy in. They had a wrench in their hand earlier, the crew did, so as he gets 4 tires, you'll see wedge adjustment in the left rear of the 48 car. This all happening on lap 119 for Jimmy, and he leaves. Jamie.
And Mark Martin in the 55 getting his call down pit road. Too tight is what we're hearing. Up and down pit road is the problem. As the run goes on, they get tighter. 4-tire call here for the 55 of Mark Martin. He's had a great car today.
And guys, what a run for Kurt Busch, 29th all the way to 3rd. They've only changed right side tire twice. Left sides have now been on for 120 laps. He was getting a vibration here 3 laps ago. This pit stop could become at a better time. First 4-tire stop of the day for Kurt Busch and the Furniture Road team. Jamie.
Martin Truex Jr. said he was just getting a little snug, not really tight yet. 4-tire call for him as well. They'll fill him up with Sunoco fuel, and he's been good to go.
Car up the track in turn 2. It was the leader, Eric Almirola. You saw it on the right side of the screen. He's gotten into the wall with the right front corner of that 43 car. Went 1 lap too far.
Caution in.
And the caution flag for debris from the 43 car.
That's a tough break for that team as well. A great car. Gonna catch a lot of guys though that just made pit stops.
Tony Stewart, NASCAR calling out, is okay to pass the caution car because he was past the point on pit road you needed to be.
I was waiting to hear from them there, but I thought Tony was okay. Clint Warrior, the leader, looked like he was ahead of him there.
So again, a third time today, a car seems to have trouble on the right front. This time it was the guy who's led more than anyone else in this race, Aric Almirola, and he was leading.
Yeah, it wasn't like that tire exploded, but you could see that that's exactly what happened with it. And a tire issue there of some kind. As a driver at that point in time, you're just kind of along for the ride. Brakes don't do much good. You steer it as hard left as you possibly can. There's just too much momentum.
So you see Tony Stewart coming by the pace car there. Again, there are two spots on pit road that you have to be ahead of the leader at without violating the pit road speed limit. One is the start-finish line, the center line on pit road. The other is the scoring line at the exit of pit road, and Tony Stewart was to the good of that, and that's why he's being sent back around the pace car. And for this 43 team, Jamie, that's heartbreaking.
Well, it is, Alan, and we started telling the story earlier before the caution came out, but he got into the wall yesterday in happy hour, and that's why they were working on the right-hand side of that car, so they had a lot of cosmetic damage already, and now it looks just like it did yesterday. He didn't say any indication of what led to him getting into the wall this time, but he is saying on the radio right now they need to come in and fix the toe.
Yeah,
Could be a big problem.
They got some problems with that right front, Jamie. It looks like the lower control arm and some other pieces. You may have to spend some time in the garage fixing it.
So, fifth caution of the race, and 3 of them for right fronts going down significantly into a green flag run. And part of Casey Mears, A.J. Allmendinger, and now the leader at the time, Aric Almirola. The other 2 cautions, the spin by Kyle Busch while running second, and Jeff Burton getting turned into the wall off of turn number 4.
We talk about how quickly things have changed. Didn't we just show a while ago points as they run, which means nothing yet, but Jimmy had like a 20-point lead over Keselowski. Well, now with Jimmy making a pit stop, he would be back in 3rd spot, 19 points behind. So that's 39 points just in a matter of a couple of laps.
And that whole picture will change again after these pit stops and wave arounds and a few other things that happen.
Kansas Clint comes in as a leader, right side tires. They've only changed right twice. They're going to come around this time for the first time today and change all 4 tires. Dave.
Fourth place Regan Smith. They're going to fix the exit with a track bar adjustment, and because the fuel is going to take 11 seconds, they're going to take 4 tires. Jamie.
Jeff Gordon just said, I don't know what I just hit, but something in the front end. So they're going to take a look at that. 4 tires and fill it up with fuel, Vince.
Greg Biffle, bottom right of your screen, a 2-time winner here. He's been real fast, but he had a pit lane speeding penalty on the previous stop. Says it's starting to get a little bit too tight. They made a track bar adjustment, 4 tire change.
Andy, you're the crew chief, and you've seen some of these right side issues. Are you going to take 4 every chance you get now, or are you going to stick with just the rights a lot?
I'm not worried about the left sides too much. I'm just going to make sure that every time I come down pit road, definitely put on right side tires. And it's kind of need to be in a little defensive mode, especially if you're one of these point leaders, especially Brad Keselowski's team. I think they're doing a pretty good job. They made a pit stop a while ago, which put them a little out of sync with some of the other leaders that had them with less laps on their right sides than anybody else that run.